I saw you very carefully grab a chip or some chips out of the bowl and then place it in your mouth and then not chew for like a minute.
Did you let it melt?
Very careful, like you don't want to crunch in the mic.
Yeah, because I could hear the
100%.
crunches earlier. Yeah.
He wouldn't got his headphones, so
yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
I just gave
He's
him the
waiting for that
side
chip
eye,
crunch.
and then he was
waiting
like,
to
"Oh
see
shit,
you
I can't crunch."
that chip for a while.
Yeah, I've been treating it like chewing tobacco and just kind of plugging it in the corner and letting it
Nice.
slowly
Just
dissolve.
sucking on the juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Unstable Discourse.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We're
Let's jump
here.
right in.
I catch you off guard.
Yeah.
No, we're in.
It's fine.
It's too late.
Let's do it.
Run with it.
Is it in?
We're in.
It's mostly in. Yeah.
We're
There's
in.
the cold open. The cold open is the cold open.
Yeah.
It is episode 2 of the front 9 of
That's
season
right.
4.
Which
That's
we
right.
won't tell you. You'll just have to know by reading
Yes.
the episode title.
Right.
Yeah, you want to edit that part out?
Nope.
Nah.
I was laughing a lot when I heard on the last episode the thing in the mailbag where I was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to edit that out," and you're like, "Yeah, totally."
And
And
you
obviously,
didn't?
it was left in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're back at the cab. It's me, Hot Dog Fingers of Disc Golf Chicago. I'm joined by Ryan Fancher of Unstable Disc Golf Gear,
Oh yes, sir.
Sean Callahan of Delwood Disc Golf.
What's up?
Come on!
Hot.
Come on.
Hot.
Come on, Jason Callahan of Bag of Tricks.
I mean, we'll have to know in the future if that worked or not. But
It's not quite the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever going to explain this. Maybe we'll just wait for people to have to look at the pictures or videos.
There'll be posts
There'll
on
be
our
something.
socials.
Yeah. Keep an eye out.
They'll
If you
figure
don't
it
follow
out.
us on social, by the way, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's about time.
It's about time.
Instagram. We made a TikTok yesterday.
Oh, we did?
Instagrams.
I made a TikTok for us.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And anyways, we are joined by a returning guest, first guest of the season. You guys know him as the #1 circus performer in Illinois, Mr. Dane Vicich.
Plead the fifth.
Listeners, it's Dana's birthday, by the way, in case you don't know. So we are blessed that you chose to spend it today with us. Did you have to forego any other birthday plans in order to do this?
We celebrated yesterday with my kids. So my children are 5 and 7. They're young. We just told them it was my birthday yesterday. And we
Yeah, what do they
celebrated
know?
yesterday.
Yeah, what do they know?
I've got really important plans on my real birthday. Got to go do a podcast.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
Boom.
Hopefully no trust issues evolve out of this if they ever find out one day.
You're right.
Yeah, maybe 10 years down the line.
Right.
We're-
They're
we're-
listening to this.
We're actually talking
What?
last
Dad
night.
lied to us.
I was talking with my wife, Ashley. I was like, our kids are going to look at our social media like 10, 20 years from now and
Right.
see everything we posted, everything we said. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Careful, Dad.
By then, 10, 20 years from now, everything that you even deleted on social media will still be accessible. Like, has anybody watched Maniac on Netflix?
No.
Show's amazing. Highly recommended. Best show of all time, Jason.
Oh, good to know.
But there's
Who's in that?
Jonah Hill and Emma Stone.
Yes.
And
I
a
meant
couple
to
other
watch it. I didn't.
Very good, especially
Yeah.
if you're into mental health. Anyways, there's a service it takes place in the future, and there's a service you can go to. It's like Kinko's, but for like doxing people. So you can just go in and pay and get everything they've ever said or done online printed and handed to you. You know, people are using it to blackmail other people and it's like a Kinko's you can walk into and just get this information.
Wow.
Jesus.
Crazy. Show is a very realistic look, I think, at where some things are headed in the future. Including a service called Ad Buddy, where if you can't pay for something, you can use Ad Buddy to cover the expense. And Ad Buddy sends a human being to sit next to you and read ads to you the entire time you're doing something. So that's basically what we're doing now. They're paying us for our attention and data.
Wow.
But you can't pay for your bus ticket. Oh, you can use Ad Buddy, and a human will sit next to you and read ads to you the entire time you're on their bus trip.
Wow.
Huh.
Super cool.
Okay.
You guys want to talk about disc golf or
No,
I like Ad Buddy.
there's not
more
not
Ad
much in the
Buddy?
disc golf world to talk about, is there?
Not these days.
Yeah,
no.
kinda lame sauce out
things,
there.
couple things.
On that note, we do have a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in the disc golf world. So this episode we're gonna kind of go with whatever comes up. But obviously, Dana, you are a sales manager at Discmania, course designer for Disc Golf Park. Sorry,
Is that Ryan? I mean, what's funny about my job title, man?
yeah, Ryan.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, so you're a course designer at Disc Golf Park. You are Team Delwood for many years now. You're an Illinois state champion,
Yeah, boy.
True.
and you
That
are
happened right after the last time you were on the podcast. That's how long ago it was. Right?
4 years ago.
Wasn't it like the month after he was on the podcast and then he won states, 2020?
Listeners, let us know.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
And Sheila, the deucer, by the way, I forgot to introduce the deucer. I'm sorry. Guys, we're also here with Sheila Callahan, the deucer. You had a prediction about this year's states, correct?
Yeah, well, he'll win again because he is recording with us again. So
We are your good luck charm.
Oh. I like it. I'm going to think about that.
Are you
every
actually
day.
going to play?
Oh, I'm going to play.
Okay, good.
Well,
MPO
I think so.
or
Now,
MPO, that's the only division I'm eligible for. 1 year from now, I will be turning 40, and my plan is to be in Las Vegas.
ooh,
Typically, the Las Vegas Challenge falls in this time frame, and it's usually there's a
maybe
pretty
we'll
big
have to,
pretty big MP40 field.
We're gonna have to get a big house and I'll go.
I think so.
I'll crash your birthday like a mofo.
Oh, please, 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 bring the whole crew.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Then you'll have to celebrate with your kids like 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
All right.
Daddy, wait.
Can your birthday just be whenever you want?
I want my birthday now.
I mean, we celebrate their birthdays like it's like birthday weeks. So
Yeah.
Oh man.
maybe I'll
That's-
get into that birthday week stuff.
with Liz. She likes to celebrate birthday month. So all of July, I will hear multiple times throughout the month. It's birthday month. So
Take it off, Rye.
She gets a lot of special requests. Fanny is undressing in the corner right now. This is why
See
we
that
need the
dick?
video for the
Gonna
show.
cut it all out. You can say whatever you want.
I don't believe you will. On that subject, we were just talking about how you leave in 99% of the things you say you're going to cut out.
That is true.
Cool. What are you motioning?
Cut it
Yeah,
out.
that's from Full House. Cut it out.
Oh, cut it
I
out.
wanted you to do that, but
Anyways, so we're gonna cover a lot of different things on this
Do
episode.
scissors with those two fingers.
Cut it out. I love you, kid.
Before we get to the nuts and bolts, which by the way, I'm a huge fan of nuts and bolts. Good work.
love nuts and butts.
Love
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But before we do that, let's get into Fired Up. That's nice.
On the spot. That was on the spot.
Yeah.
Not planned. It had to be different. I couldn't do the. I do that too often.
Go down.
I've got a couple things this week. I didn't have anything last week, but I feel like I heard somebody else say they're really fired up. You said you're fired up about something, Sean.
I did. I do have
Take
a
us away.
topic to talk about. Yes, sir. Sheila and I have both been watching the show Full Swing on Netflix.
This is a documentary about swingers.
About golf. It is about golf. A little golf topic. Very cool. It covers the 2022 season of the PGA Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Also talks about the arrival of the new Live Golf Tour, which is like the rivaling tour to the PGA.
Whoa.
Really gave us, as we were watching, a lot of perspective on where we are at in disc golf because of how astronomically huge that sport is.
Yeah, and we ain't shit.
We are like a speck of dust on a speck of dust in comparison. And I mean that in the greatest way, but it is just like golf is so huge and we are so far away from it, but it always gives us something to strive for.
Right, and it's impossible to talk about the future of disc golf without looking at where golf is. I mean, golf has been known as, what do they call it, the greatest game, right? And it's been known as that since the 1800s, I would think. And disc golf has been here for like 19 minutes.
There were oddly also a lot of similarities that were really cool, like just the different interviews and hearing the guys talking about their game and traveling, even when these guys are taking like third place and winning $400,000, they're still talking about how just a few years ago they were living in a car. And I'm like,
Whoa.
you think of dudes like Luke Sampson, who we just watched,
Ezra.
shout out to Luke. He just had a really cool on tour episode on DGN that was phenomenal. Watch
was
that
great.
if you haven't already.
Mhm.
It was only like 13 minutes long, but hopefully they dive back into Luke's story. Yeah, just a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. Really cool show.
For sure. I was going to make a joke about golfers like hustling out of their cars or out of vans because I figured that doesn't happen. But to hear something like that does still exist in golf, that's awesome.
Totally.
Very surprised. Can you comment on some specifics on like where golf is at and where disc golf is at? For things that you've gathered from the show?
Something that came to mind is the Waste Management Open. And anybody who can help me out, I know I just watched it, but I think it's the 16th hole. Was it the 16th green where everybody's there and that's where all the stands are, and like everybody is like hyper judging what these guys are doing, and if they're missing putts or like shanking drives, they're throwing beer cans at this, and it's just like crazy, right?
In golf?
In golf, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it made me think about, what is it, the 8 holes at Maple Hill? Is it hole 8 where like they have the dude that's like the king? Dana, help me out. Is it the 8 holes? Maple Hill?
At Maple Hill, yeah.
Yeah. It made me think about that and how when people were watching the live coverage from the last couple of years, it was like kind of frowned upon. I really wish that it wasn't, having now watched Full Swing, because this is happening at this super high level, and it's like people are into it. The golfers are into it. They like the vibe. And I'm like, maybe this is something that we need to like elevate in disc golf, not frown upon.
It was a joke when 20 years ago they were doing that on Happy Gilmore, but now it's like it's a thing, and it's enjoyed and it's encouraged in a lot of venues.
Yeah. With the Maple 8 holes and that vibe, one of the things I love about it is also that we don't see that every weekend. It's specific to Maple Hill. It's not like every tournament is like that. And that's the same with the tour. Like you have different courses, you have different styles, you have all these different things, and hearing people complain about it, like I kind of shake my head because
well, you know what to expect. It's coming. You know it's going to be there.
Exactly. You're out there putting on, along the water on hole 5. Right across are the 8 holes, and if someone jams a putt from the drop zone, they are going to go wild.
Scream,
Like you have to know that, and that's part of the game. That's part of playing Maple Hill, and that's exciting. Unfortunately, I've played, not unfortunately, but I've played Maple Hill a number of times, but I wasn't there when the 8 holes were there. And it's a goal of mine to get back in that event and to play it and maybe experience it.
It reminds me of what you have said about how you guys run Clash, and you don't necessarily want too many restrictions on how you guys do things, because every event should have its own distinct personality, and every the players should know what to expect. The spectators should get excited about going to this event because they want to be part of X, Y, or Z.
Almost immediately after the first episode, I looked over at Sheila. Alex, you are.
Sorry. I'm really trying not to. I'm not trying to be funny.
Well, you are. We're watching the first episode, and I look over at Sheila, and I was like, immediate FOMO. I was like, huzzah! Man, like now I'm super hyped and seeing like these massive events happening that, this is the year where we said we're going to hang back with Clash and make it a little bit smaller and focus on the macro. This was just very inspiring. So it was like, definitely fear of missing out on being able to do that the way that we do it. So, but that's also the thing that I love about what we do, is that it evolves and changes back and forth. Next year we could be like, hey,
we'll get Orland BMW to sponsor, and like any ace wins a car.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
They'll be on board, I'm sure.
I mean, already those seeds are starting to be planted in my head, which are immediately planted in Ryan and Sheila's heads as well. And so it's a very, very inspiring, very cool. I really like the way that they portray it. And, it very much reminded me of On Tour and what DGN is doing with those episodes too. So we're getting there.
I want to move along, but I also want to touch on how you've talked about multiple times that the sport is still, like the culture and the history of the sport is still, it's just being formed every day. And every little thing that you do, whether you're an organizer or literally just a player, like you are part of the evolution of the sport and like the identity of the sport as it's still in its infancy. So like the players that come out to leagues, the players who are making TikTok content. Like everybody that's doing something in the sport is helping to forge the identity of like where we're going. And it's so cool.
I think that's really what is, even as somebody that's not really followed golf as much, but a lot of golf finds its way into my feed. And I enjoy a lot of it. And a lot of it is done on an amateur basis through TikTok and Reels and things like that. I think skyrocketed just as, in the last 3 years, that just as disc golf has. So it's great.
Sick.
Dane Vicich, you got to have something you're fired up about. It's your birthday.
Oh, man.
You got something.
I think I'm fired up.
You sound like it.
I am really fired up.
Calm down, dude.
Yeah.
Can you hear it in my voice? Can you hear it, Sheila?
Amen.
Thank you. No, I honestly, it's my birthday. Hey, I'm trying to live a good, clean life here. My 2020, what year are we in? You asked me that question this morning when I'm working, or maybe the day before. I'm fired up, but right now, I'm chilling. It's my birthday. I've got a beer, hanging out with my friends, hearing great stories. I'm looking at hot dog fingers over here. Petting puppies. Life's good.
It's a good day. All right, I'll go real quick. I'm fired up about the Bourbon Street Putting League. Hot Hand Pot is at almost $1,000 right now. That putting league we've been running at Bourbon Street has been really cool. On average, 40 to 50 people coming out every week. And right now,
on a Wednesday, that's great.
On a Wednesday night, nobody has hit it all season. We got 2 weeks left, and we got very close to somebody hitting it last night. I really hope it happens next week or the week after. It's very intense. It's adding a lot of intensity. If you haven't come out yet, come check it out. But also, I'm going to shout out the Joliet Prison Putting League for laying the groundwork for this whole thing. I never even made it to the Prison Putting League, but I saw the videos and the photos, and I was like,
it was come on, jam. I miss it.
Dude,
it was great.
I never wanted to go to a putting league ever until I saw those pictures and videos. So I've been having a blast with what we're doing. I want to shout out all the players who've been coming out, and shout out to you guys for laying the groundwork. And that's it. Like, I'm just fired up about that league.
What's the deal with the hot hand not being hit? Is it just really difficult holes or just situational?
It's not really difficult. In fact, we keep making it easier. The thing is that when you go to Hellwood, or I assume the Prison Putting League, you have 2 chances to hit it. You can hit it all 6 shots in the first round, or all 6 shots in the second round. With ours, we don't have as many holes or necessarily as much space. So you have 1 chance to hit it. You have to hit. Initially we're doing 6 holes for the night, but now we took it down to 5 to make it easier. And so there's usually 3 holes in the first round, 2 holes in the second round. Nobody has made it. Like, at best, we've had 2 or 3 people going into the second round. The holes are not that hard.
Yeah.
It's just the pressure. Like, once the money gets that high, everybody is psyching themselves up, like trying to win that money.
Yeah.
Dana.
Doesn't Matt Rooney come to this league?
He does, and Rooney's been killing it, but I also have footage.
Was he there last night?
He was, and I got footage of Rooney missing all 3 putts on a particular hole, and I'm really happy to have that footage. It's rare footage. Nice. But yeah, he's killing. I think he's leading the league from men's
Well, he
uppers.
doesn't have what I would imagine are his go-to putters because he left them at Hellwood last Friday.
Right.
But that league, super fun. Been loving doing that. And that's my quick little fired up.
Dope.
I think it's about time we move along. This was a longer fired up than it was supposed to be. That is a wrap on Fired Up, and that means it's time for the Callahan Rundown. Sean Callahan, take us away.
You got it. So, going into season 4, we decided that because a lot of the time overlaps, that we would just do Callahan Rundown every other week, and that's okay. Because a lot of the stuff is just repeats, and you guys know what's happening, Dog Bowl, Fraction, blah, blah, blah. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip over it every other episode, and we are going to get a little bit from the doctor via 97.7 The Buzz. Take it away, Doc.
You're listening to The Doc here on 97.7 The Buzz, WBZZ Lockport. The second stop of the Greater Joliet Tour season is upon us. Fraction Run Cup 5. April 1st and 2nd at the Canyons in Lockport. It goes live on March 4th at 7 p.m. on discgolfscene.com. Stay out of the creek and get your points for the Greater Joliet Tour season. Tasty. There are still spots available for the 3rd annual Dog Bowl, March 11th and 12th at Old Oak Country Club. Get signed up today and help feed some homeless animals. You're listening to
97.7. 97.7 FM.
97.7.
97.7
Buzz, buzz.
And we're back.
And Alex is touching the microphone.
But at least he wasn't touching it with hot dog fingers.
That is true.
I
So we got
have
that going
removed
for
the
us.
hot dog fingers. And listeners, just to clear up any confusion, this is Alex Seminary of Disc Golf Chicago. I introduced myself as Hot Dog Fingers earlier.
Yes.
Nobody was sure until just now who it was.
I think that since we are getting into the nuts and bolts, that Dana should put on the hot dog hands.
That feels very birthday celebration.
Like it's your birthday, you're 25 years old today, and
accomplished so much in your early 20s.
Get in there deep.
They're not easy to put on.
This is going to take a minute.
Do it up close to the. I want to hear the squeaking as the. And if you have any questions,
Get all the way up in there.
If you have questions about what hot dog fingers are, go watch.
They're exactly what you would think.
Go watch the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and then get back to us. Send us a DM. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
Dana's still struggling to get these
put
hot
on a
dog
raincoat.
fingers on. But as
Sheila, how did you put these on? You practiced.
Time. It takes time.
You practiced.
Also, Alex and I, when we had him on, we had the left one on the left hand and the right one on the right hand.
Did we?
So, yeah. And then he's got the left one on his right hand and the right one on his left hand.
So
that's probably part of the struggle as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's all right.
But you look good with them
It's
on.
the first time for everything.
They match your beard.
Unbelievable.
They match
Unbelievable.
your beard.
I didn't know they were on.
You had him on your right hand.
Oh, okay.
So did I. He's got him on the wrong hand.
No,
I see.
they are not.
Oh, he's throwing in the towel. They're already off.
This
That
thing on.
quickly.
Put them on the right. There you go. Veins up.
Veins up.
There it is.
While you sort that out, as we described earlier, the nuts and bolts is going to be. We're going to cover a lot of different stuff. I mean, you are, as I mentioned in our Facebook post, like I think one of the most influential voices in disc golf, probably period, but absolutely in Illinois. So we want your opinion on a lot of different things. I thought maybe a cool place to kind of jump off is as a sales manager at Discmania. There is a new mold coming out, right? It's the is mold the right word? Even we want to talk about the S line.
That would be a new plastic. So yeah, Discmania, we've taken our production of our originals line in house, roughly 18 to 20 something months ago, and that's produced in Sweden in our own manufacturing facility. And this is our first. This week was our first S line drop, which S line has been a fan favorite.
Jason's trying to eat chips off
Quietly.
Yeah.
Quietly.
In Dana's ear.
Yeah. And Dana's mic. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good lean. But yeah, so the S line, we brought it back with 3 of our A-list molds: the PD, the FD, and then the DD3. So yeah, big week for us at Discmania.
And what would you say is the difference now in the new S-line plastic versus what had been previously molded?
Yeah, it's going to feel a little bit different. The molds are similar as well.
This reminds me of when Michael Scott calls David. Is it David Wallace? And he's like choking on the phone the whole time.
Yeah.
Is this why you called me Michael?
So yeah, the S line compared to the old, slightly different feel. The molds are slightly different. There are versions of it, but ultimately, what you're going to see is these S line molds of the FD, the PD, and DD3 are going to be straighter flying than our C line versions, which we've already brought to market. So we're working on bringing the originals line back to market and doing that mold by mold and plastic by plastic. And now we just had this week the triple release of the S line.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Just yesterday, the FD, PD, and DD3. And I think for Discmania fans, they're going to like the flight of these a little bit better. The C-line versions are overstable. They're a little mean. They're pretty. They look good. They fly good, but you got to have a little pop, a little pop in that throw. But with these S-Line, they fly a little bit truer, a little bit easier. So especially with the FD, which has been one of our flagship discs since the beginning, this S-Line FD is Heiser Flip Dream.
Ooh.
Yeah, that has been the consensus at the shop so far, because they a really cool thing that Discmania did with dealers is they sent out some testers, which was kind of a new thing, which was great, and we were utilizing the shit out of that. I was giving those to anybody that was coming into the shop that was interested, and yeah, so far all 3 molds across the board, people are like, yeah, these are a little bit truer to the flight numbers than like the C-Line counterparts that were. Like Dan said, a little.
The C-Line FD was like the old Lazat FD, and it was beefy.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to throwing the S-Line because the FD is my favorite mold. I don't know if you knew that. I've said it on the podcast many times.
My man.
Yeah. So.
And I also like to elaborate too that the plastic itself is a little bit stiffer. And usually you will see out of a plastic like that it'll be more overstable. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case. So that's a good thing because people do like a stiffer blend usually.
While, yes, we play all year long and here in Illinois, especially, and it's cold right now. And the plastic is stiffer. But like in the summer, this is going to be, in the main disc golf season. Well, yeah, it's a touch stiff right now. Not in a bad way. Like
that's what she said.
In the summer, I think it's gonna be perfect. It's not 100-degree days. When the clash is going on, this S-Line is gonna feel good.
Yeah,
well, I'm excited
for sure.
Is there any talk about G-Line stuff, or is that a pipe dream of mine?
Keep hitting that pipe. I don't anticipate.
Whoa, is that what pipe dream means? Is that the definition of pipe dream?
That is.
I never knew that.
It is now, yeah.
Wow.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I never knew why it was called a pipe dream. What does that mean?
It meant like you were, on
hitting the pipe,
hitting the hash pipe, or hitting like an opium pipe.
That is insane.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it actually? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You said no.
I'm not going to say it's out of the question, but for now, our goal is to bring the originals line back, mold by mold, and then with the C and S line, and then maybe a few of the specialties. But the G line, unfortunately for you, is probably lower on the. It might not happen for a little bit.
It's fine.
Maybe we can.
It's fine.
Maybe we can like request like
I'll be okay. I'll
soft
be fine.
S line. That would be cool. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
That would take its place.
Can you talk a little bit more about what it actually means when you said that you're bringing the production in-house? For somebody who is not super into the scene yet, or not necessarily the scene, but like the business side of it, like
manufacturing.
What does that even mean that you're bringing the production in-house?
In June of 2020, Discmania, we opened up our in-house manufacturing in Sweden. And prior to that, our manufacturing had been through Innova, which produced our Originals line, which was our flagship line. And then we introduced the Evolution line, produced in partnership with Latitude 64. And then the Active line, produced with Yikun in China. So we essentially have 3 manufacturing partners. So key there is no single sourcing. What we saw during the pandemic, with a shortage of production time and discs and everything, one of the things that we learned, and I think many industries and many businesses, single sourcing, not a great thing. So right now, Discmania produces discs in Sweden. We do produce the Originals and Evolution in-house. And then we still work with Yikun in producing the Active line, which is our entry-level line, lower price point.
I feel
which has also been getting like better and better, because some of the stuff that was coming out in the mystery boxes this past off season was like right there. Because it was a little stiff to begin with.
That's what she said.
And a little too stiff for what I think those molds needed to be. But some of the, what was the Taylor that came out, the mid, that felt really good. So I'm excited to see where that goes. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, the Taylor, and then like I'm not a huge fan of the name, but the Rockstar. We did a glow Rockstar in the mystery box, and it feels really good.
Yeah, it does.
It feels
it was a lot
like
flatter.
you pick it up and you're like, I could throw this disc. It feels good. It's flat. I mean, it is a rock star. I mean,
honestly, do you keep forgetting that you have the hot dog fingers on? Because I keep
I don't think
I keep seeing you gesturing
half of
with
his
your
brain
hand.
is dedicated to the fact that he's got hot dog.
It's great.
But only exactly 50%.
You're like making great points and saying really interesting things, but in the background, I see your little hot dog fingers waving around.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, jeez.
That's cool, though. I feel like I don't know. The last couple of years was one of those disc golfers that just really had no idea what was going on business wise, the production side of things. Like, are there other companies that are having their discs? Are there other manufacturers that are producing for multiple brands? For somebody who doesn't know, including me?
Yeah, that's good question. I'd say that Discmania is the singular, like, larger leading manufacturer that has multiple manufacturing facilities, where we see other companies that produce just one line of discs. Like Innova makes discs for Millennium, and Millennium only gets discs from Innova. Infinite only gets discs made by Innova. And then you have MVP that is producing discs for ThoughtSpace. And then MVP also producing for Mint out of Texas. So those brands are probably comparable to Discmania 10 plus years ago, where, hey, we're only working with Innova we only have one line of discs. But even prior to the pandemic, that we came out with the Evolution and Active line, and ultimately that kind of saved the company and saved my job. If we didn't have the manufacturing coming from these other sources, because Innova their manufacturing is in California, it was shut down during the pandemic, and then they're also working on producing their discs, so that they've got their focus, and Innova, their brand is the most important. For us, having that multiple sources of discs is super important, and ultimately I think was something that helped save the company.
I have to think so, right? Like, it's dangerous to have all your eggs in one basket, because is the pandemic going to be the last?
Well, and the timing was just so perfect
with
with that Active line and all the new players coming out, with the pandemic and getting outside. And I know Sean pushed the hell out of them. But everybody was so interested because of the price point. It was just, it was perfect timing. One
of the things we're dealing with right now at Discmania, in my opinion, is we had so many players come in during the pandemic. The sport, we'll say it grew 100% plus multiple years in a row. During that time, for the most part, you could not get any originals Discmania discs, and the originals line is our most popular and flagship line. So right now that we're going to be coming up on 2 years this summer of producing our own discs in house, a lot of those new players, when they came in, they couldn't get an FD. They couldn't get an MD3. They couldn't get a P2, which the P2 was the most popular putter in disc golf. And now, of course, there's all kinds of different versions and knockoffs, if you will. Great versions, but other versions of it. So one of the things I think we need to do is educate the disc golf world, and especially those new players that came in and they weren't able to get a P2. They weren't able to get these great discs that we make, and now they're coming back to market, like the S-Line FD that just talked about. And it's like, this S-Line FD it's not me drinking the Kool-Aid. It's a really good disc.
I can't wait to get my hands on one.
So as the in-house stuff has ramped up, from what I understand, now you guys are also making all of the Evolution line discs in-house, or is any of that being done by Latitude 64 anymore, or what does that situation look like?
Yeah, we have transitioned over to producing the Evolution line in-house.
Yeah.
So, we don't have the 3 sources for, a different source for each line. We've got the 2 with the active line, and then being in China with Yikun, and then the Evolution and Originals made in Sweden.
I'll toot yours and Discmania's horn for just a moment.
What did he just say?
Calm down, Jason. Over the last...
Do we leave the room? Or?
Over the last year or more, every event that Disc Golf Chicago has hosted where we needed a players pack disc, and we needed a lot of discs at the same time for events, it's all been through you and Discmania. You guys have been able to turn things around pretty quickly at a time where it was hard to get your hands on enough discs for a whole tournament. I'm guessing Sean and Ryan, you guys have had some of that as well.
I'm in the second year of being a Discmania ambassador, and I mean, it's incredible what we've been able to do with them as far as player packs. Text on the regular with the guy that works for Discmania that stamps the discs, and it's nothing I'm proud of, but sometimes the season just gets going, and I'm like, oh shit, we need to order stuff for Workforce Brewing or what have you, and they've just got me. They've got me, and they take care of me every single time. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't want to encourage any other event organizers to wait to the last minute.
Definitely don't do what I'm doing. But in the case when it does has happened, I mean, it's been awesome.
It's incredible customer service. It's incredible to have that relationship where like if nowhere else we can turn, we know Dana and Discmania is going to come through with whatever they can do for us, and it's going to be awesome. So, yeah, all of our events for the last year have been Discmania Players Packs, and you guys have just made it very easy to work with. Players are loving the discs. The stamps always come out looking really great. So, if you're an event organizer and you're looking to do Players Pack discs for your events, you really should be looking at Discmania.
And you guys are my homies, so definitely making sure you're getting taken care of. But honestly, like you touched on the customer service, like we pride ourselves on like customer service at Discmania and helping tournament directors, league directors, and making things happen. And while we love to have ample time,
right.
we can turn things around quickly. Definitely don't want that to be the norm. Shout out Stamp God, Adam, our stamper. He's really good. Is able to take care of things on a drop of a dime. So,
and one of my favorite things about who he's referencing, Stamp God, Adam Gottschalk, he doesn't play. To my knowledge, he's not really that involved in playing disc golf, which is, I love that because
he's adjacent.
It just kind of goes to show that you can be, we touched on it earlier, that like you're still a cog in the machine. You don't have to be out there and like worrying about whether or not you're throwing over 300 feet to be part of what's moving this whole ship forward. So it's really cool to have conversations with him.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about the new S-Line stuff for players packs and custom stamps? When is that going to be available?
That's a good question. So right now, we just have stock stamped S-Line. I'm hopeful we'll see some blanks in the near future. But if you're a tournament director, Sean, we've got some really cool tournament fundraiser type discs or player pack discs that we're only making available to you guys. So please,
like the DD3 stamped with a picture of DD from Dexter's Laboratory on it.
That is exactly where I was going.
Okay,
Words.
I didn't mean to step on your words there, but
no, right out of my mouth.
Okay, that's what I would love to see personally.
Hey! What you doing? Shut up, a woman! Go away, get!
But Adam, aka Stamp God, Connor, my guy, he does customer service. He works with the events. We will take care of you. We can't turn things around on a day or two, but please reach out to us. And we love working with tournament directors and league directors and all that.
I think it's an important topic to touch on because as we talked about in the last episode, there are more and more event organizers popping up, and we think that's going to accelerate with the new changes in the PDGA rules where tournament directors can pay themselves a little something. So if you're one of those people who are looking to put on events, you should know this resource exists. Definitely look into it.
Right.
I think one of the big topics that we have to get to with Discmania is the Simon situation, right? So
I'm sorry, who?
You have Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mr. Lazat, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, as everybody knows, Simon Lazat did leave Discmania over this past offseason and went to MVP. And we watched every part of it. Of course, nobody really knows the behind-the-scenes stuff, and a lot of it is speculation. But his entire career, as long as we have known him, he has been associated with that company. And when you think Simon, you think Discmania, it turned the game upside down in the same way that it did when Paul left Innova and went to Discraft. I think we'd all love to know, not all the details, but like, how did that look from your side? I'm sure it didn't just happen overnight. Like it was some talk. So what did that look like?
Yeah, gosh.
He's going to cry. He's crying.
Yeah, let me gather myself. No, but I think actually Simon posted today or yesterday, like it was 10 years ago that he first started throwing Discmania. So he was with us for 9 or 10 years, roughly. Heard about it internally that, there was an offer out there and that it was a possibility. And naturally, we did everything that we could to kind of keep Simon on our side. Because, let's face it, Simon he moves the needle. Paul Macbeth moves the needle. Simon is, he's so special. He's an incredible player, incredible ambassador. His YouTube stuff, you don't have to be a huge fan of disc golf to really enjoy Simon's content. And
totally.
So yeah, it was a tough one. And I know it was, I wasn't personally involved in any discussions with Simon or any, negotiating back and forth. I was privy to the conversations internally, but I wasn't on there with Simon, on my hands and knees saying, please stay, Simon.
Please.
Maybe if you had those fingers on, it would have.
Damn.
Yeah.
It could have been a difference maker.
Right. Yeah.
You could have called him Simon Glizzot.
Oh my God.
He's coming around,
He's
folks.
leaning into it now.
Come on.
Insert the noise of a gun shooting and my brain's splattering on the wall behind me.
What I have to definitely say on the topic, though, is that Simon is so good at what he does that he really made that transition not political, and it didn't sting, and it was cool no matter... It didn't feel like there were sides. There's always ramblings and BS on socials and Reddit and things like that.
Right.
But he just handled it in such a professional way that I think, if you're a fan of Discmania and you're continuing to be a fan of Discmania or wherever you're at with it, you saw that it was an amazing thing for disc golf, which means great things for Discmania, Simon, MVP, the whole deal. So he did it like such a professional, and it's cool to watch. Did it hurt to see him go? Yeah, but I think everybody's got to say that it's kind of an awesome thing for the sport.
I think the transition was so real to everyone because he made it personal instead of flopping from one to the next and then just saying, oh, these new MVP discs are the best and here's what I'm going to do. He took time and he mourned.
He really
vocally.
Really did.
And when he started on that MVP disc journey, he admittedly had no idea what he was doing and took us along for the ride, knowing that we all know that he really didn't know.
Yeah.
And he made it, he made us part of that. And so he was more of a real person than just an ambassador for one side or the other. And I think that was the only way that he could have done it in a way that made it, special for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, he did it Simon's way, and the only way Simon could do it, and just he's so genuine, and obviously it hurts losing him, but I'm watching his YouTube videos still.
Yeah.
I'm watching him learn the discs and go through the trials and tribulations with him, and oh man, what's he gonna bag, what's working, and then the season is coming up. He had a great round at Vegas today. I think he's 4th, 5th, somewhere in the top 10, had a really solid showing. So yeah, that's one of the stories that is going to be great to watch. Obviously last year, incredible run, really came out and won a ton of events, elite level events, something that he's never done. And for him now to switch over and then us to watch and be privy to everything in the way that only Simon can share, it's been great, and it's a fun story to watch, even if it hurts, and even if I know that, hey, we at Discmania lost the number 1 or number 2 influencer in disc golf.
Yeah, I love that you guys are touching on his sincerity and how he's a real human, because I of course he can throw, he's extremely competitive, but I'm sorry. Every time I see those hot dog pictures.
Yeah. He's taking a drink, folks.
But it's not, I don't think that's what Simon's built his brand on. He's built his brand on being genuine, sincere, down to earth, real,
approachable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's stuff that makes everybody want to root for him.
Like Dana said, he really truly is one of the people to define what it means to be an influencer within our sport. When you compare him to a Paul Macbeth, Paul is definitely, like Dana said, moves the needle, but
for a different reason almost.
In a different way. I would not call performance-wise. He's not somebody that is kind of letting you in behind the scenes as he's dealing with things that he's dealing with. So watching it go down with Simon, it was really cool. It was really cool to
Oh,
watch and be
whatever,
a part of.
whatever Simon says, you do.
That is
So.
the game. That is the game.
Heyo.
Nobody said that before, by the
Yeah.
way, Jay.
First time?
First time, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the first time I've heard it.
Are you gonna cut me again and ask another question? Deep hurt. You know, I mean, losing Simon.
I have another topic that I'd love to bring up since we have you, and it might be a deep cut. Can I go there?
Yeah, but before you do, I just a very, very quick comment.
Hit
literally,
it.
Bringing up cutting things is on brand for me. I don't know if you listened to the episode we had Paul on. I, without realizing it, started talking about how awesome it was, the James Conrad shot in front of a live audience with Paul there, not even realizing what this meant to Paul, just talking about what it meant for the sport. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but at one point Paul was like, can we cut his mic?
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, like, in front of an audience, whoa, this is so different for him than it is for us. Like,
252
whoops.
feet changed whether or not Paul was going to be a 7-time champ.
Yeah. Whoops.
Insane.
Unbelievable. Like, again, just
Every time I still see it on DGN and they play it often, I'm just like, damn, that altered the timeline completely.
Yeah.
Oh, fully.
Like Doctor Strange style shit.
Yeah. I'll remember-
Altered the timeline moving forward.
I'll
man.
remember forever where I was and what I was doing when I watched
Yeah.
that. That's weird.
That's so cool.
And
Yeah.
then we ran a Silver Series less than 7 days later.
That's correct.
There was so
With a
much
lot of
happening at
those
that
same
time.
people
a
there.
lot of those same people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna go back.
James
'cause
Conrad was signed up for that.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
He
and
didn't
then
end up
he
showing
took
up.
a vacation. 'cause
Why wouldn't he?
Deserved it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back a little bit because I feel like for me, this is something that's gone slightly unanswered, and I would just love to know your perspective. We're going to go back to when Discmania parted ways with Innova. What did that look like from your perspective, or what did you hear behind the scenes? Like, because there's always so much BS on the internet. And being somebody that works within the industry, I couldn't imagine that it was an ugly thing. And I'd almost like to hear that it's not, because I want to believe that it wasn't, because it was two professional companies that were going, you know what, we're going to go in separate directions to kind of like shut up the haters on all of that. And I know we're late to this, but you and I have never really discussed it. I'd love to know what that looked like. Was it like UC and Donna Pace just going at it on the phone screaming at each other, or like what did it really look like?
Yeah, I mean, similar to the Simon stuff, like I wasn't in on those conversations, but obviously privy to the information. It was professional.
Yeah.
Like we had a great run with them. Discmania was we are a fast growing brand, and Innova wasn't able to keep up with that. We were in just an outlier of a situation in a pandemic where production was at a premium, and Innova was, the sport was growing. So we grew too fast, and it just wasn't able to continue. So like for me, I go to, I don't know how many trade shows a year, but at most of them I see the Innova crew. And you better believe after the day is over, we're going out, we're having a beer,
right?
We're hanging out. We might catch a round of disc golf. Like there's not hard feelings there from our side.
That's great.
They made some great discs and helped bring us to where we are. So, unfortunately, it was just a perfect storm of growth from our brand, from the sport, and then ultimately, led us to where we are today. And again, like it was bad news. We weren't getting discs. I will say rightfully so, maybe, or maybe not, but
understandably.
Yeah. So I'm happy we're here. I love the discs that Innova made for us, and they were able to help take us, but unfortunately that wasn't sustainable.
Sorry for such a deep cut, but we haven't had Dana on the show for almost 3 years, so it's like we have 3 years of catching up on it. So.
For sure. You mentioned trade shows, which kind of sparked a new question for me that's not at all something we prepared for, but something that my brother Max and I have been talking about a little bit lately is jobs in the disc golf world. I'm curious to hear if you have any insight or perspective on what careers in disc golf look like today versus a couple years ago. Do you think it's changed at all? Are there more jobs out there? If somebody wanted to make a career in disc golf today?
You mean if somebody wanted to start maybe like like dying discs and quit their job.
No, not that. Do you think it looks any different today than it did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, the pool is, gone from a very small pool, a baby pool, to a public pool. It's grown so much. And so with the sport growing and the brands growing, we need more people. And whether that's on the marketing side, working on the manufacturing side, or in the warehouse, like us at Discmania, we moved from California to Colorado 3 years ago. And when we started in Colorado, we were maybe a dozen employees, and we've well doubled that at this point. Awesome. So, I mean, whether you're looking to get in on the sales side, the marketing, or working in the warehouse, or running a machine, obviously we're not producing the discs in Colorado, so I can't comment on that side of things. But, I see postings for other brands saying they're hiring, machine operators and everything. There's opportunities out there. And then there's also, we're still so young in the sport. There's opportunities to carve your way and create something. And that's exciting. Like you can come in and, we're seeing players have lawyers and players have agents. There's agencies popping up. There's companies making shirts for disc golf and hats, like overstable. No, there's
got him.
No, there's tons of opportunity out there.
Yeah,
and if you're, whether you're, let's say, skilled with, you went to college and have a marketing degree or a business degree, there's opportunities. Or if you're looking to work in a warehouse or run a machine, definite opportunities. And then we look at entities or companies like the Pro Tour.
Right.
So many, like from the Pro Tour from 2 years ago, 3 years ago to now, like the staff that they have is incredible. It's huge. And that's, not even just on the media side, but on the logistics side, on every which way, like it's growing, and there are opportunities, whether it's there for you to apply for a job, or it's if you're an entrepreneur and you want to create something,
right,
like
carve out your own lane.
Yep. It's there for you right now.
One of my favorite ones is the Statmando guys. They just decided that the commentators were just not giving enough good info, and hey, let's gather all this data and become the guys that provide all of this. It's phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
Dion and the crew at Statmando love what they're doing, and they're carving themselves out. I can't comment on their business, or if it's even a business right now, but mark my words, they're going to be profitable someday, and they're going to be they're going to play a major role, because they have the structure and the vision, and I'm excited for that. And if I was looking to go buy a company or anything, or invest or get involved, like Statmando would be one, because it's so valuable. Because one, on like the Pro Tour side, like on the production side, providing information like that. And then let's say it's we're coming into the off season, and hey, I want to see what Ryan Fancher has done over the last 3 years, and what he's done against this player, what he's done against that player.
Spoiler alert.
The answer is nothing.
So I can get through Statmando, they can provide detailed information based on statistics and pull that all together, versus like if I'm a team manager, like at Discmania, Avery is very into it. He's got spreadsheets and he tracks, and he takes it very seriously. But like Statmando, like they're quite powerful, like with the process that they've built. Well, like they're going places, and I love their Twitter and what they're doing. And
I mean, I think earlier today, I can't remember if it was Terry or if it was Ian on the coverage of the LVC asked a stat question, and within a minute he had the answer, because they were in real time crunching those numbers.
It's referenced on every single
awesome.
Live
and
coverage
it was obscure. It wasn't like, how many people have been on to. It was like a weird, I think it was
something about whether
Evelina Solin.
I got it. Henna Bloomrose, and whether or not she had birdied.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Or when the last time she had a birdie-free round.
Birdie-free round.
There we go. I knew we'd get to it. Yep.
And it was like, how do you go back and find that? But they did it, and it was in lightning quick time. So, good for them.
Statmando, I can't say enough, and like how it's enhancing the live broadcasts and just following disc golf and the stats. Like for years, I used to study and every event, every player, like click, look and see who's who and who's what, where they're from and their rounds and this and that. And like what Statmando has done is just just made it easy to pull that information. And then, I see them growing a ton in the near future and being a valuable asset and company in disc golf.
Yeah, to your comment about it being profitable, whether it's now or down the line, it's an important point if you're going to think about disc golf as a lane to go down for your career. But I think for a lot of people, there's also even if you don't put money in your pocket from disc golf, there's a lane for you to fill your cup, to like do something for your soul, whatever you're doing for disc golf. If you have the bandwidth to do something for disc golf, maybe you have a 9 to 5 that you hate, you don't really care anything about, there's still all these cool lanes you can go down in disc golf to like feel like you are genuinely making an impact and building towards something that maybe becomes profitable one day. But even if it doesn't, in the meantime, you're doing something cool for your soul, that you care about this thing you're doing.
Totally.
Me and Devin Hernandez,
Never heard of him.
friend of the show.
Devin Hernandez and I.
Yes.
Love that kid.
We're talking about disc dyes, and he sent me a clip from what is called the Disc Dyers Guild or something.
Snap.
Like it's a large group, like a foundation of disc dyers, and they trade info and they trade, methods and secrets, and it's really neat to see. And I bag on it all the time about how you're never going to make a living, and I stand by that. But there's also a niche carved out for that exact thing in our sport, and I do not want to discredit it at all because it defines what our sport is. And I love the fact that there is a guild that maybe they're not making a ton of money. This clip was actually like the guy admitting that at the end of the day, he maybe makes $5 a disc.
But that's not why he does it.
But that's not why he does it. Right. If that's why you're doing it, not for the money, but because of the sport and making, yourself part of that.
Love it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
I'm going to pause us for 1 second. I don't expect you to edit this out, but I just want to comment on how hot dog fingers have severely impacted this episode, I should say, because while you're making these really great points, I see the hot dog fingers in the background.
They're finging.
It's throwing me off.
It's taken a lot for me to not lose it while Dana is being very professional.
And at the
with
same
hot dog
time,
fingers.
when I pulled my hands out of those things, there's some kind of dust on the inside that's in my eyeball now, and it hurts a lot. And you probably see me rubbing my eyes a lot for the last 20 minutes.
I thought you were just really sad about Simon.
No, my eye hurts. There's something in those gloves.
We need to get you a pair of socks to put on your hands so you don't itch your eye.
Yeah. Well, just be careful when you take your hands out of those gloves. Don't touch your eyeball. That's my advice.
Noted.
Okay, so there's a big piece of news in the disc golf world right now floating around. We'd be insane to not talk about it for a moment. Gannon Buhr leaving Prodigy is on every piece of disc golf media right now. I haven't seen tons of polarizing views on it. I'm afraid that everybody's kind of on the same page, but can one of you two lay out what's happened with Gannon and Prodigy?
I've been trying to read up on all of the literature and the litigations and gathering as much info as possible because I think it's fascinating to me that this is all played out. It started a while ago, actually, and I think Gannon has become dissatisfied with Prodigy as a company and its product and the way they handle themselves. And he has, in one way or another, let them know that he wasn't happy, but it really came to light a couple days ago when he decided to announce that he was leaving Prodigy and wanted to terminate his contract with them, stating a couple of instances in which he thought Prodigy had violated the contract. Yeah. And it turns out that most of what he has been saying is not documented anywhere or anywhere in a contract, so it's going to be really tough to prove. But he decided to leave Prodigy, which was met with lawsuit, and everyone was like, well, you can't sue a minor, which is absolutely false. You can sue whomever you want, including minors.
Especially minors. They're the most fun to sue, honestly.
Right. I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
But
hands.
The contract was also co-signed by his mother, who will ultimately take responsibility for it. Prodigy is suing him for breaching the contract, citing that they are going to essentially lose $1 bazillion by having Gannon leave Prodigy and badmouth Prodigy. And they're citing all sorts of memes that people have made up and everything like that. And they actually produced an injunction and a restraining order that would not allow Gannon to throw any other discs or basically to keep the status quo, to keep him on Prodigy until the formal litigation could go through so that he could not do irreparable harm to Prodigy and they wouldn't lose a lot of money because they consider him one of the top players in the sport.
He is.
Which he is.
He totally is.
So
Clash champion this year, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
2022 Clash.
So
yeah.
I think their wording was their only,
yeah,
which
Yeah.
is rough.
I mean,
Interesting choice of words.
because you've got Isaac
rough.
Robinson, you've got KJ, you've got Kale, you've got Luke Humphreys.
Yep.
All those guys, I can't imagine kind of had their feelings hurt, but nobody's saying anything at this point.
Kale did come out and say something really, really cool. And this is why I'm a Kale fan, because it was like, the internet is all a buzz. And, of course, we're reading all the comments, which then it's like chicken or the egg, like we're reading the comments. So the dumbasses are going to continue to comment and we read them. And But, Kale comes in the cool older brother authoritative viewpoint and says, like, take it easy, guys. Let's wait until we get through this before we start talking about any part of it, because you don't understand what's going on from the side of Prodigy and you don't understand what's really going on behind the scenes with Ganon. Let's just respect the situation. And like I said, that's why I'm a huge Kale fan, because he did. I think that somebody needed to come out and say that. And so perfect that it's Kale LaVisca, because I think that everybody really he's an OG. Everybody feels the same way about him. And he's very much that kind of older brother guy, if there is one, on Prodigy. And I thought it was really cool.
And Kale, actually, he's been a voice of reason behind the scenes with like Disc Golf Pro Tour players. He's been around. He's smart. He runs events. He's involved with manufacture, and he's an elite player. So he has a really unique position, and he's been somebody that has been a voice of reason when people are up in arms about one thing or another. And I've seen it in cases where, Disc Golf Pro Tour players, like, on a Pro Tour player page where Kale comes in and, I don't want to say flexes, but comes in and sets the record straight, or at least paints a different side of the picture.
Yeah.
So,
which is always needed.
Yeah,
totally
Always needed, because it gets just so
voice of
ugly
reason.
in the comments and Reddit posts.
But I think consensus is that no matter what happens, Prodigy is going to lose because they've tarnished their reputation by suing a player in this fashion. But I think that Prodigy is going to end up prevailing in this litigation, whether they settle or not, because a contract is a contract, and the evidence that Ganon says that he has against breaching the contract is what is called parole evidence, and that is evidence that is not stated in the contract. And if you are not within the four corners of the contract, then it is inadmissible basically in court. So the things like the flashing on the discs and Ganon not being happy about how the inconsistent the discs are, and that he wasn't given 2 special molds for his Rookie of the Year disc, and
that was something that was promised to him outside of the contract.
Sure, absolutely,
quote unquote promised.
Yeah. Which is valid in his mind, I'm sure, but that is not part of the contract. There was another like $500 bonus that was not given, and in the contract it states that if there are any discrepancies or if there is a potential breach of contract, then they're given 30 days to make it right. Which makes
I think on
sense.
the $500 thing
they did. They absolutely did. They were like, "Oh yeah, here's $500."
Yeah.
So when it comes down to it, everybody's going to lose, and that's unfortunate. I think Prodigy's going to lose a lot of their reputation, and Ganon may end up having to stick with Prodigy, or they're going to settle, or it's going to get uglier before it gets a lot better.
Well, this is a first. This has never happened before.
Sure.
We have to see this through. We're going to see this through. We don't have a choice as viewers. Contracts moving forward will definitely be different. It's like when lawsuits happen and they reference other lawsuits, yada yada, versus the court of whatever. Like this will be the thing that changes everything moving forward. I wish I had the hot dog hands because I've got my hands up. Yeah. So that's, for people that really enjoy the sport like we do and Dana does and our listeners do, as crazy as it sounds, this is cool. It's different. It's interesting.
Unprecedented.
It's unprecedented, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it pans out. Dana,
we're talking about this and contracts and everything. We're fresh off the Simon, like a buyout.
Right.
To my knowledge, there haven't been buyouts we haven't seen a manufacturer take a player to federal court. So, I mean, these are all things that are part of disc golf, crossing over. Growing pains. And it's unfortunate that we're seeing it happen right now. Prodigy and happen to Gannon, happen to a kid. This is part of disc golf growing in the sport. And so, it's going to be interesting to follow, obviously.
Unfortunate, but also, like you said, it's a sign of the times, and it's something that we have to go through as a sport. And when there's going to be more instances like this, there needs to be more precedent set as the money becomes more substantial, as the careers become more like. Dang it! All right, listen.
Wait, stay like that.
The frickin' hot dog fingers were either the best or the worst idea ever. But
these are stuck.
I've been waiting to comment on something for a few minutes now, and it's around Jason. All right, Jason. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but about 4 minutes ago, I saw you very carefully grab a chip or some chips out of the bowl, and then place it in your mouth, and then not chew for like a minute.
Did you let it melt?
Very careful, like you don't want to crunch in the mic.
Yeah, because I could hear the
100%.
crunches earlier. Yeah.
He wouldn't got his headphones, so
yeah,
I knew.
Yeah,
I just gave him the side eye, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I can't crunch
that chip for a while."
Yeah, I've been treating it like chewing tobacco and just kind of plugging it in the corner and letting it
nice.
slowly
just sucking on the
dissolve.
juice. Yeah, good.
Before we get to having too much more fun, though, I do have to say one more thing about the Gannon matter. If you are not watching the press conference stuff with DGN the day before these events, you are sleeping on some of the coolest media that is happening in our sport. Brian Earhart, I've been telling him this for years, is a genius. He is turning that knob, and he is asking some really cool questions. As well as Terry and Zoe Endyke. Definitely watch that stuff because it is really cool. They had Gannon on. The first thing they brought up was the situation. And the way that 17-year-old kid handled that situation was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
He avoided the situation completely, as any professional in his situation should. How he answered the rest of the questions throughout that interview was phenomenal. I was very, very impressed with his demeanor and how he handled himself. It was.
Think back to your own 17-year-old self. I would have been motherfucking everything.
Yeah.
Or just a pile of goop sitting in that chair, like not knowing how to handle it at all.
Right.
Does Gannon have somebody in his corner that's coaching him? Is it just him and mom? I have a million questions when I see that, because I am so thoroughly impressed with how that kid is handling the situation. Still had his Prodigy hat on. Wasn't disrespectful at all. And in a way that didn't really seem coached.
No.
So I really got to hand it to him. And also incredible shout out to DGN staff. They're killing it with the press conference stuff.
It does point to, I think there has to be some coaching or some like agents, basically an agent type role, whether that's his mom or somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody's helping him, and because there's real money on the line, it's required. So,
well, we saw that with Ricky too.
Right.
When Ricky started, when he became, world champ and he got really big and started interviewing, he couldn't speak for anything, and it was really tough.
Yeah. Have you ever seen his very first In the Bag with Prodigy?
Mm-mm.
It's worth a watch.
Could you do an impression?
Not without offending.
But he must have had some kind of work with someone, because he is very well spoken, and he's interesting and he's fun to listen to.
I don't know, I think it's maybe not to knock on Ricky, but a maturity thing. Like Gannon, I think, is just maybe a little bit more mature, where Ricky is they're very different people, and Ricky's a high energy, and when he's younger, more immature and less
his mouth moves before he thinks.
Ricky
that's
is
how
a
he
golden
acts.
retriever, and Gannon Burr is a Doberman Pinscher.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on.
All right.
What breed is everybody at this table?
Give me a minute. Continue the conversation. I'll get there.
Start with Jason.
At some point, I will. Continue the conversation. Give me a minute.
I just wanted to kind of put a bow on the fact that the disc golf agent, the disc golf lawyers, there are more and more jobs. There are more ways to get involved in the scene. There's more ways to plug yourself in. Take whatever you're good at. Take whatever you're an expert in. Apply it to the sport. And whether you see the benefits, the profit immediately or not, there is something to be gained by continuously investing what you're good at and applying it to disc golf.
I am
I'd
living
love to see
proof.
it.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, Sean, we at the Vicich house, we're looking at getting a dog sometime in the near future. So while you think about comping each of us at the table with a dog breed, maybe think about what kind of dog we should get.
I already know what he's going to say you should get.
Yeah, you know the answer to my question. How often is the entire brood at home?
I'm typically home all the time because I work from home.
So we've got a lot of time to devote to said pup.
In theory, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be there for a break-in period and, all of that.
So then the entire family is going to come out to the dog bowl and look at some of the pups that are available for adoption from the Will County Humane Society on March 11th and 12th.
Oh, yeah.
Shameless plug. Bring the girls out. There will be dogs.
Chandler?
Chandler is a gorgeous lab mix. The coat on this dog, I legit have never seen a coat on a dog.
Like a platinum champagne color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Straight out of Burlington Coat Factory.
Yes.
And if you go into that place with $600, you are a king. By the way, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Jason may be a boxer. Boxers, to me, are very silly, but also like
their legs and paws are too big for their bodies, type of clumsy.
Yeah.
A little clumsy.
I think that's true about the breed, but is it true about Jason?
Big time.
What? Really?
I've been around him for 39 years. He's a boxer.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Clumsy? Yeah.
In a very lovable way.
Huh.
That's basically the two notes that I was touching on was super lovable, super silly, and there's like a protector thing as well where they're like older brother type vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I built my opinion on.
Like you're not a chihuahua. Like you're still you're in a room and people know that you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You sold me on it. My initial thought was Irish setter.
Huh. Don't they have like really long hair? They're pretty big. What what is it about the Irish setter that made you say that's probably me?
I had them. We had them when we were kids, and I fell in love with the
If you were
breed.
a little more sporty, I would give you Irish setter.
Have you seen this cardigan he's wearing?
Yeah, that's true.
Irish
It is
sweater.
it's a beautiful day in your neighborhood, though.
Yeah,
Correct.
thank you. It really is. Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a cheap cop out a little bit to just go with whatever dog you already own, but Ryan does seem very Boston Terrier to me.
Oh, there's something about them.
He looks like a Boston Terrier.
Yeah.
There's a constant sort of like a little bit dissatisfied by what's going on. But also,
And what's great is when I go to his house, he has two of them.
Yeah.
And I have seen Ryan act like one, but also act like the other. Like he's just that whole like flippantness of like Eddie can just be like super fired up, but Melba can also be like, I don't even care that you're in the room right now. I've seen you be both of those.
Yeah.
Sure.
Today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Today. Yeah. Right.
And I can't look at you and not think Australian
Cattle dog. Yeah.
cattle dog. Yeah,
I corral people.
Yeah.
you definitely
I
do
definitely
that.
corral people.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'm a bit of a shepherd myself.
Sheila, I don't want to say you're Umi. I don't know. Are you
Sheila's probably a
love
cat
the
that's
sun. I'm super chill.
yeah,
super chill,
Introverted.
and she's watching us and thinking about how stupid all of us are all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So,
but also enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Like a cat would.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Judging.
And I'm allergic to her. So that works.
All right, somebody tell me what Dana is so we can move on.
Well, then you would be the Irish setter just by
Dana
default with the
Vicich. That's
red hair.
That's
and-
low hanging
is
fruit.
Is it low hanging? All right.
Something with
low-hanging
like a
fruit.
presence that makes you want to like gain its respect,
Like an Irish setter.
but would also do really well on a balance beam or like a
Or a
trapeze.
tightrope.
A tightrope,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna say German Shepherd because you're kind of demanding of respect from the people around you, but in a good way.
That's good.
Final answer.
I like that one. All right, so there's another really interesting topic that Sheila threw on our sort of prep sheet. I've known you.
She
to be
deuced.
pretty. She dropped the deuce, right? Calm down, Sheila.
Sheila,
Yeah.
relax.
See that is. Just letting us know that she's here. She's dropping the deuce.
I've known you to be, pretty supportive of Vibram. And I think you might have talked about it last time you were on the show. So it's been sort of resurrected lately. What's your take on where Vibram's at right now?
For those not familiar, I was a long time sponsored Vibram player.
How long ago was that? Was it like
2007, 2008?
Oh, he's not that old.
Why do you just guess?
You're not too far off. Somewhere maybe 08, 09, and then I was sponsored up until I don't know,
like 2013,
15, 16. You're close. You're in the ballpark.
You have no idea.
But anyways, yeah, had a great run with Vibram. Some of my best playing days, like out on tour, were with Vibram. I was throwing an open bag, but putting all Vibram and mid range is all Vibram, and mixed a few other discs as per my contract, my handshake contract.
Sure.
Couldn't take me to court for that. So yeah, I was with Vibram and then ultimately left and then found myself with Discmania and working with Discmania. But anyways, they eventually stopped producing discs on a wide scale range. And Steve Dodge, who was running Vibram Disc Golf, left to run the Disc Golf Pro Tour, to start the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And so that would have been around 2016, if memory serves. And yeah, now Vibram is they're kind of dipping their toe back in with some limited releases, direct to consumer. They're not doing big mass runs of discs, but small scale runs, selling direct to consumer and selling at a pretty high price. Now, Vibram discs were, I think at that time, they were typically at that $20 or 20 plus mark, MSRP, and
which 6 or 7 years ago was was quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now
it's the same price as a carton of eggs.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's a sore subject. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama.
But yeah, Vibram, they're dabbling with some small runs of discs and selling direct to consumer at I think around the $40 price mark.
Wow. And I think they can get away with it because the Vibram fans are so hardcore.
Yeah, they are hardcore, but also like that's pretty extreme. The highest you typically see a disc at MSRP from a store is $29.99.
Yeah.
And that's typically a really special disc with a really special player, or Ricky Wysocki this, Eagle McMahon that, and but yeah, Vibram, they're doing it and they're dropping these small releases and with that high price point. And I won't say it's been mixed viewpoints. Like people are pissed.
Oh,
it feels like a little bit of gouging, but also it's kind of this little niche thing that they know Vibram knows that people want, and disc golf has grown and the Vibram collector market is pretty good. I'm sitting on way too many collector discs, so if you're a Vibram collector
holla at your boy
and got some Venmo, let me know. But yeah,
is Steve Dodge involved with that anymore, or
no. Steve's not involved, and I've actually at some trade shows ran into Vibram and talked to some of the folks that are behind that and talked with them, and they actually more or less were asking, hey, you're a disc golf manufacturer, you work for a disc golf manufacturer, what do you think? And I let them know that you guys that's a little, I don't know, long-term strategy that's going to work for you, or
sure.
Maybe if you're going to continue to every couple drops a year, yeah, I could see that being that $40 mark. Your main market is shoe soles and all of that, and discs costs a lot to make those under your process, which I actually did get to tour the Vibram manufacturing facility out in Massachusetts. I don't remember what year, but it was awesome.
Are all the employees wearing those little Vibram
five fingers?
Is that
or
what
five?
called?
No, they're called hot dog fingers.
Hot dog fingers.
Yeah,
hot dog toes.
No, I didn't see a whole lot, but I did have some pairs that were given to me.
They are cool.
Yeah, I like feeling closer to nature and
Sure.
treating my feet right, but it's not for everybody, and I'm not wearing them today, and I haven't worn them for a long time. But
so when you say that they're available direct to consumer, how would I buy one if I wanted to buy one right now?
I don't know if
So I
they
have
have
to go to the website.
Yeah, it would be direct, like on Vibram.com, or if you did a Google search, I don't know if it's
Sure.
.net.
Hey Boomer, you ever heard of Google.com?
The Google?
Yeah, the Googs.
Yeah.
What kind of question was that? That was so
I have
good.
one last
Go to
question
their
for Dana.
website,
It's a
or-
quick one. It's a two-parter.
Yeah,
The reason
you
I
do.
ask is because I was like, if I'm going to buy a disc, I want to go to Delwood and buy it.
Sure.
But if that's not going to be an option, then what's my next thing?
One last question for Dana. Two-parter. It's quick. Promise. Have you been to the Swedish manufacturing facility? Quickly, yes or no?
No.
And when are we all going?
Hopefully soon. I would really like to see that.
Like, I'm half joking, but honestly, I would love to see some kind of a program. Ryan has a question.
I'm on
Oh,
board.
Ryan wants
I'm
to
raising
go.
my hand.
Okay.
Let's
Oh,
go.
that's all it takes?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go to Sweden.
Yep.
Can Discmania be the
Switzerland?
first
Sweden.
manufacturer to do? I know that MVP does something like this. Gyropalooza, they do something like that. When can we see something like that from Discmania? I think it is a really cool way to bring everybody together. I'd love to do it, even if it was halfway across the country. Sign me up. Talk about it the next meeting. I'm in.
I mean, that sounds great. Like where you know, kind of what Paige Pierce is doing, like
Yeah,
where you
right.
have a everyone signs up, you pay X amount of dollars, and then you go on this guided trip. Like
Yeah.
we go to Sweden, we play Yarva, we go up to latitude 64, which
Yes.
is way up north, play the courses up there, check out the manufacturing facility. That would be incredible. I don't see that as something that is going to happen in the next few years, but
It's a business write-off. What's the big deal?
I could,
Yeah.
hey,
We can just
bringing
write it
that up to me, like you're bringing it up to the right person, not to too,
Cool.
you know,
good start.
I would pass this up along the chain and say, hey, there's opportunity here. But on that note, we have talked. Obviously, we're not manufacturing the discs in Colorado, but talked about bringing to start some of our retailers and vendors to come out and tour the facility, pick out their orders, do some workshops,
Or maybe a disc golf podcast.
do a disc golf podcast
that has an average of 400 listeners per episode.
That's much more likely than a
Hell yeah.
trip to Sweden. But like,
I'll take that.
As for Sweden, like obviously, I think every disc golfer would love to go to a manufacturing facility. But like working for Discmania, yes, of course, I would like to go there and go to Sweden. It was almost on the table for me to visit this last year. I went over to Germany for a trade show, and I ended up just going to Finland after the trade show. So I was in Europe, and Finland is where our parent company, Spin 18, is based out of. So I was able to go to Discmania HQ in Finland and see that and meet some of the people that I work with on a regular basis. But I think if I would have had more time and everything, a trip to Sweden wouldn't have been out of the question. But as for public and like getting a tour bus together and getting over to Sweden, I think we're a few years away from that, and that's just speculative.
Plant the seed. Love it.
When you were in Finland, did you meet our pal Mats Adamczak?
I did not.
Do you know who that is? I forget his exact role, but his job was like he's like a data scientist who was using disc golf to bring tourism to Åland. It's like a chain of Finnish islands.
That place. That's where we need to go.
Yeah,
right.
That's where we need to go. How many courses do they have on the
There
island?
was like 16 or something.
Island Islands, yeah. Yeah, and those are
That's my
that was
vacation.
Let's go Ironman, all 16 courses in 48 hours.
That was a big disc golf park
Easy.
project. But speaking of courses, and Avery Jenkins, everybody knows he's a course collector and everything. He went over to New Zealand and was on the South Island for a handful of days. Played all 40-something courses.
Insane.
But
What?
it's during the trip. They're playing 10 courses a day for a couple days. Him and Maverick, who's a salesman for Discmania. But anyways, like the Åland Islands, yeah, they're actually having an event after the European Open. So they're trying to bring like pros and like cater, and like they've already, have the European crowd that goes there for vacations or goes there to play disc golf and everything, but they're trying to like pull in and make something bigger. And I don't know all the details, unfortunately, but I believe there is an event following the European Open this year that are at the Åland Islands or on the Åland Islands.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we put a wrap on the nuts and bolts, I want to plug some past episodes for listeners if you're new to the show. We did an episode in season 1. It was technically episode 7.5, where we did a video interview with Mats Adamczak from exactly the project we're just talking about. He talks a lot about disc golf tourism, what it meant to them, how they were approaching it. It was a really cool little like half episode, check that out. And then also check out the bearded one. What was that, episode 9?
No, that was the next episode after. That was episode 8.
Episode 8. Okay, so it's episode 8, season 1. That's when Dana was on for the first time. So if you want to know more about who he is as a guy, that's a great episode to get that background. So
you probably don't care, but if you want to, if you're bored, you have nothing to do.
If this is your first episode, go back, check it out.
Yeah.
All right, we covered a lot, and I feel like we still have some stuff in the mailbag we need to get to. Jason?
Oh, yeah.
Can you take us into the mailbag?
Only if you think it's...
Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
Jason, take us into the mailbag.
Considering that we ended the nuts and butts with that question about Vibram, I think we're going to start with a question from...
How is Vibram not a vibrator company?
You know?
Vibram?
Figure it out.
I barely know him. Hey-oh.
A question from Jordan Capra. This is for the whole group. If you could bring back any out-of-production disc, or maybe a specific run of a certain disc, what would it be and why?
I have one. I don't keep it in my bag, but I keep it in my car for funsies. And I would keep it in my bag if I could get a new one or two. The Epic... What's the one that's like a dinner plate? What's the dinner plate?
Rye, you're up.
What is it?
Aerobee?
The Aerobee. Is it?
No, no.
Why not?
Aerobee is the name of the brand.
Yeah, but the actual...
The one with the oblong rim?
No, not the oblong one. The one that's shaped like a little... The one that Ricky Wysocki threw when we were
on
yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually a solid, like, super straight flyer and a great roller.
No. You're done.
I'm not even bullshitting.
Right, you're up.
What is it called? The Arrow.
Yeah.
The Arrow.
Yeah.
Aerobee Arrow.
Yeah.
Aerobee Arrow.
Nobody needs to know that. It was a certain plastic. It was the fluid plastic that Dynamic and Lat 64 and West Side were all calling it different, but it was all fluid plastic, and it was just,
really gummy premium stuff.
It was
great.
just the best.
I was so surprised when they stopped making that.
I have a couple fluid judges left that are just, I want to cry every time I hold them because I know that those are the last ones that I'll ever have.
Yeah.
It was just so good.
Mine is Dana and I were just feeling it earlier. Everybody knows there's a secret.
Discs.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay.
The soft P-line P1X that accidentally happened from Discmania a couple years back. It's my favorite throwing putter. I have a stack on standby that I've gotten from Dana himself. One of my last aces was one of Dana's former discs. We were just looking at it. It's got his name on it. The one that's in my bag now has Dana Vicich's name on it. No big deal. I've also acquired a few from friend Kevin Keating from, I believe, Utah now. So that is my fave. Accidental run, right? Like it wasn't even meant to happen and it just did.
Yeah, my understanding was that we ordered P-line P1s and they, instead of a stiff P-line, which that's what it traditionally is, they came in the soft, beautiful, luscious, buttery version that Sean loves, and I actually love too.
Bring it back. Do Jason, one for me. One
Jason,
for your
what's
boy.
Your answer?
The year is 1991. Nirvana's Nevermind comes out. I buy a copy on CD. Mine has 12 tracks with no bonus track on it, but as some people know, there are actually 13 tracks on Nirvana's Nevermind because there's a bonus track. After Something in the Way, you let the CD run for like a couple of minutes and then another song plays. My stepdad buys a copy of it, and his copy has Endless Nameless on it, the bonus track. So one day when he wasn't paying attention, me being 13 years old and not knowing anything, I swapped them out. I was like, well, I want the one that has the extra song on it, of course, blah, blah, blah. So I swapped them out. And it was only years later that I found out that if you had a copy of Nevermind on CD that did not have the bonus track, you actually had something very rare because it was printed accidentally and it was a first run of Nirvana's Nevermind on CD. None of them had the bonus track and they missed it accidentally and then went back and added it, and every subsequent release has always had it. So I had the disc of Nirvana's Nevermind that was one of the rare ones, and I have no idea where it is to this day, and it bums me out.
Oh, no.
Great answer.
You played yourself.
Bums me out hard that I did.
You played yourself.
I did 100% play myself.
Did we get Dana's answer?
And I think about it at least once a week.
Dana, what's your lost and forgotten that you'd love to bring back?
Before I get there, you bringing up Nirvana, I just finished the Dave Grohl's book. The audio version, the storyteller. I don't. If you guys are into audiobooks,
Yeah.
no matter if you're into Nirvana or Foo Fighters, like incredible, like really, really great book. My wife Ashley read it and was like, or listened to it and said, "Hey, you really need to." And I'm like, I mean, I like Dave Grohl, I like Foo Fighters, I like Nirvana. I'm not a massive fan, but listen to it. Incredible. So if you're looking for something, please
If you've
download
run
it.
out of Unstable Discourse episodes to listen to, that's a great second
Very.
choice.
Yep. After you go back and listen to season
I've never done
season
the
1,
audiobook.
episode 7.
He does it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Yeah.
The best
Dave
ones
Reed's
are
incredible.
when they read them themselves, I
Yeah,
think.
totally.
Willie Nelson does another great one. But anyways, mine, I think I got to go. I think I talked about this in the first time I was here. I'm very vain. So I would go to the Roaming Thunder 1, which is it's a CD2.
Whose name was on that?
That would have been my name, my first signature disc, Roaming Thunder 1, and then there was a Roaming Thunder 2. Stay tuned. Maybe we'll do a Retired Thunder 3.
What?
Some of the best artwork on a disc.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because you're sitting in this room. So good.
Yeah.
The Buffalo
Fantastic.
and the two different. Oh, so good.
I mean, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but if we can, like Retired Thunder, like what kind of, like I've been texting with Manny Trujillo, who did the artwork for the 1 and 2 and a bunch of our Discmania discs. Like, what direction should I tell him? Like, I'm thinking like,
can you get a buffalo sitting on a lazy boy recliner?
Honestly, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like leaning back with maybe a drink in the hand, a couple little buffaloes running in the
and then
background,
and a TV, like
I was thinking a newspaper that like popped up and said "Retired Thunder," something like that. Like,
I love it.
Just doing it as a fun something that we could do in the shop, and I don't know.
Definitely an aged buffalo, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, it blows.
Maybe if there's a way to make the beard look a little grayer now that they're 29
It's not
years
even.
old.
It's still pretty healthy red.
I mean, I just trimmed it out. There's some grays coming in, but I mean, it blows my mind that people all over the world like and collect and throw or whatever you want to call it, a disc with my name on it. But
Yeah.
it's a request that comes in, so I thought it'd be fun to do a Retired Thunder.
If you
would.
do
Absolutely.
that, will you spell your name the new way? Dane Avicii?
Of
Of
Vicich?
Ichi.
How much, Jason? How much do you
Vicich.
love that there are people who, when they hear Dana's name, they think of it the way that you thought of it?
Multiple people in the mailbag ask questions for Dane.
Dane.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. This next question is not for Dane, but it is from Ryan Aquino, or more specifically, Ryan Aquino's son.
Oh.
He wants to know
Odin.
What did Odin? I could not come up with his name.
Yeah.
Thank you, Odin. What did you used to have as a kid but lost it as an adult? And it could be anything. It could be physical or mental. Anything.
I think I used to be a much funnier person. It was like my top priority in middle school and high school. Like I successfully was voted class clown in high school. But for whatever reason, I felt like people weren't taking me seriously enough. So I started to try to be this like more grown up, serious version of myself. And lots of friends in my college years would be like, "You're just not the guy you used to be." And it cut me to my core. It still cuts me to my core. I used to just not care how the joke would be received, how I was going to look. I would say whatever I knew was going to get a laugh. And like being that guy that got a laugh at any cost. I loved that. At this stage in life, definitely don't have that anymore. I think way too much before I make a joke, and probably for the best, but that is something about myself that I kind of miss.
I don't have an answer to that. Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're perfect.
Yeah, that's probably true. Next.
Jay, I got nothing.
You got nothing? I do have one. The year was 1991. Nirvana's Nevermind. Let's move on to Ryan Stilson's question. He wants to know, can you smoke us some hold on. Can you smoke us some pulled pork soon, please? I think that is towards Dane, is that?
Oh, yeah. Ryan and friend David Garb, they were having like
Garby.
some sort of a tournament at their home courses.
Garbapalooza.
Yes.
And I don't know what year it was, but I
1991.
Yeah.
91, 92.
It was 91.
I was in first grade.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. If you were born in 1984, sorry for the side note, but like me, born in 84, in the year 1991, I was in first grade.
Yes.
Yeah.
92, second grade. So like whenever, I don't know, I feel like that's not often like I can, hey, oh yeah, what 1993, and oh yeah, I was in third grade, but it coincides with the number. Anyways,
I was born in 80, so I always remember I don't have to do math.
Yeah.
Same idea.
I was born in 83, and I wished that it was 84 because for that exact reason.
I don't know if it's sad, funny, whatever, but I didn't know this until like a few years ago. Like, and then now it's like, when we're ever talking, reminiscing, and it's like, oh yeah, 95. Oh yeah, fifth grade. Yeah, 97, seventh grade. Like, anyways, the pulled pork. I can smoke a mean pulled pork.
Nice.
And it's pretty easy on my Rec Tech Grill.
Oh, here we go.
Head over to Rec Tech Grill. Use the code. No, I don't have a code.
Dane
for you.
Avicii 23.
Dane
91.
But it's a great smoker and makes some great food.
Is it a pellet smoker?
It's a pellet. It's electric. I can turn it on my phone and look at the
Do you?
Oh wow.
Were you previously a propane or a charcoal?
Previously, I just used like a propane grill and would make burgers and steaks and pretty veggies, pretty basic stuff. But got the smoker. It's been great. Like I didn't know I could make good food and make it so easily.
Is this an ad for RecTech?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years.
Yeah, you have.
Now that we're on this
Yeah.
subject, I get Snapchats from another ginger who really knows his way around a grill and meat. I'm guessing you guys get these too. Clay Bilefus.
Yes.
Clay Bilefus
Every other day sends me a Snapchat.
has our next question.
Oh, okay.
In the mailbag.
Separately, I would love to see a ginger showdown on the grill because I know he rocks a Traeger.
He'd be way into it.
Dude.
His question's about food.
Oh, Traeger versus Rectech.
Yeah, he wants to know, what is your ideal particular birthday meal? I tried to say it without laughing.
Yeah.
What is your ideal birthday meal? And go into as much detail as you want to try to make Alex's mouth water is specifically his question.
Clearly, it's 2 IPAs and a brownie.
Yeah.
Is your ideal?
That was my dinner tonight. Thank you, Sheila. A+. Oh boy, I love tacos.
Good
Go
answer.
get some tacos.
Good answer.
A margarita.
What doesn't go on a taco? What's the one thing that somebody would add that you would be like, ugh, you put that on a taco?
It's easy. And if you don't agree with me, something's wrong with you.
Okay.
Tomatoes.
Really?
Oh.
No tomatoes on a taco.
I mean, I look at tomatoes. I want to eat, I want to like them. I want to eat them, but put them on a burger, put them on a taco, put them on a plate, pass.
Same.
Hard pass.
Agreed.
No tomatoes, huh?
No, I mean,
You slice them in half and pour salt on a plate and just dab the open part of the tomato in the salt. You could eat it like an apple. They are so delicious.
I want that and I
So
I
bad.
see that,
So
and I
bad.
can remember being 1995 when I was in 5th grade, seeing my dad, my mom and dad cut them up and season them and eat them, and it looks good, but God,
No, that should be illegal.
Can't do it.
I love them. The only reason I don't put them on burgers is because they fall apart. Everything slips and slides.
Yeah.
So I never
Yeah.
really
It
do.
messes
Gotta
it
have
up.
a really beefy tomato otherwise. All right. Next question is from Dave Hopkins. He wants to know, what's it like being a redhead? When you make eye contact with other redheads, is there some sort of mutual respect for one another? Maybe a nod of approval? Have you given thought to going to the Redhead Days Festival in Ireland?
First of all, I'm not a redhead. Second of all, redheads are gross, David.
Ew. It's disgusting.
I've got a red beard. You guys are. I took my hat
Yeah,
off.
you got brown hair,
Yeah.
no? Yeah,
What
you're
color
not
is my hair, Ryan?
It is a dark brown.
Thank
Is
you.
that the same color as the
Full
hair on the
grizzle.
rest of your body? All over?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah. That's a question for another podcast.
No comment. But I will. Yes.
I plead the fifth.
Well, if we had a visual podcast, we'd be able to answer that, like Del Sasso hope we had, because he said in the mailbag he'll be watching the podcast. So everybody wave at Dale. Hey, buddy. All right. Moving on. Let's go to a question from Raymond John Paul Patrick, a man with 4 first names. Why doesn't Morris have a disc golf course yet?
Dana, what the hell?
No, that's a good question, and that was a project I tried to be involved with from the beginning, and then insert myself once it was going. And unfortunately, nothing happened. Maybe because they didn't accept my offers to be involved. But they had a park picked out. I think they even have baskets purchased sitting in a warehouse somewhere in a facility. Which
didn't they do like a little 3-hole or like 6-hole or something?
I thought it was 7.
Kevin Schramm,
7 hole.
Yeah.
There's something going on, but I tried to be involved with it. Unfortunately, just never was able to connect, and I'm not sure why. But this does happen. Like I've gone in and designed a course in places that they've had baskets sitting for years in their warehouse, and then I come in, design it, and they put it in the ground. So I don't know what happened there, unfortunately, because it sucks. Because from Joliet to Ottawa, it's kind of a dead zone.
Yeah,
and it would be great to have a course in that space. And in Morris, and that park is beautiful. There could be a fun short course. You can't go big there. It's actually right across from the high school, so the high school will be able to use it. And so if anyone from Morris is out there listening, please give me a call at 815. Never mind.
555 123
1995.
DANA. Come on, what the hell?
DANE.
815-555 Dane. Next question comes from Nick Kaminsky, and it's along those same lines. First of all, he wants to thank you for RRR and Walnut Hollow. But his question is there any plans for another course out this way? We'd love to see another one up here. Have a great day.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm super proud of what has been done in Cary so far, and so lucky to be involved with both those projects. 2 very different courses, 2 very different projects, but I am working to get another course in your area. It's in the works, still a ways away. We were actually talking about this in the pre-show. Hopefully the stars align, and you'll have another course designed by me in the next handful of years. It's still in the early phases, and there's some hurdles to overcome. So keep an eye on socials. There may be some opportunities to help with the project, and you hang tight. Hopefully something's coming.
Awesome.
Sick.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to end on a Casey Glade question. She, of course, wants to wish you a happy birthday, but also wants to know, are you going to be doing any commentary this season? She feels Tear Bear and Dynamite is the best duo of all. Record scratch. Are there literally people out there calling you Dynamite in 2023? Is that an actual thing?
Yeah, I used to be a regular guest on a different podcast. Don't react.
What the actual?
Yeah.
What other podcast?
I mean, it was back in 1991.
Yeah. The year.
Talking about Smashbox TV. Mm-hmm. But yeah, people still do call me Dynamite.
Yeah.
God, I feel
it was
Terry.
Great.
It was Terry Miller.
It was awesome. Terry Johnny. Yeah, it had a great run. I came onto that podcast from the beginning, and for many years was was every Tuesday night. And these days I just can't do it. But as for commentary, I'd love to get back out there, but it's just not really in the cards right now for various reasons, and one of which I stretch myself pretty thin. It's hard to do things to the level that you want to if you're doing too many of them. And I think a lot of us here in this room and here out listening can relate. And unfortunately for me, the commentary was one of those things. Last year I was talking about coming back on the Silver Series, which I did in year 1. Yeah, I've got a family, a job, personal life.
Got to pick your battles.
Mental health to take care of. Like, there's too many things.
I think to put a wrap on it, one could say you're really up there walking on a tightrope.
Hey!
And that's a wrap on tonight's mailbag.
Beautiful. Thank you, listeners. We love when you guys submit your mailbag questions. It always makes the conversation a little more interesting. And we'd love to hear what you guys are wondering about. I was talking about this in the pre-show. I think it would be really cool if people started to send their mailbag questions in as voice recordings. If you send us your question from the mailbag to the email, mailbag@unstablediscourse.com, as a voice recording, we'll see what we can do with that. I'll leave it at that.
Your
Because it's really Ryan's.
Your phones have that function.
Yeah.
You can do that from your phone.
Send it to me.
Don't be scared now.
Don't get scared.
This is it.
Kevin McAllister. The year was 1991.
The year it was. Home Alone came out in
Holy
91.
You think I didn't know that?
Nice.
Come on, dog.
Did you know I was in first grade in 91?
No, I didn't. But on that note, I was born in 79 and graduated in 97 high school. And I thought that was the case for everybody, that the year you graduated was just a flip flop of the year you were born. And then it hit me one day that, no, I'm an idiot. It's just something that just happened to me.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
That I think I'm an idiot.
Twice a day.
Dane, let me tell you, that is a topic for a different episode.
After show.
Yeah.
That is a wrap on this episode, guys. Dana, thanks so much for being here, especially on your birthday of all days. Like, to make time for us, so cool. I'm glad we got to revisit this again. Listeners, check back season 1, episode 8. The bearded one is another great episode. We did sound a little different back then. We were still figuring things out, but it's still one of my favorite episodes from season 1. Thanks again for being here. I hope you had a good time.
Totally. My pleasure, and I look forward to maybe coming back in a season or two, whenever you guys will have me.
Season 7 at this pace.
At this pace, right. And I think on that note, even though we loved having him here, I have to say, suck it, Terry Miller. He is on our podcast and not yours.
Later, nerd. All right, thanks again, listeners. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back with another episode in a couple of weeks. Until then, keep it on the fairway.
See ya.
So long.
Good night.
Unstable Discourse is produced by Sheila Callahan. Edited by Ryan Fancher. Beats provided by Alex Seminary. And produced in association with Unstable Disc Golf Gear. Look good, feel good, play good.
Unstable Discourse is a Top Secret Studios production, baby.
Don't smell your hands when you take them off.